Sweats.
Here.
Supervisor Nicolini.
Here.
Supervisor Grego. Supervisor Audi. Here. Supervisor Fletcher.
Here.
Thank you.
I've produced a consent agenda, and I've been asked to pull item C, or, and the reason I understand is because one of our members have a conflict, and so we accuse him of. And so with the
I'll make
remaining.
a motion that we go ahead and approve the rest of the consent calendar minus that.
We can't see it.
Is that better?
I can't tell by that shirt thing, but we couldn't hear anybody. It's very garbled.
Make sure the microphones are facing towards you direct, and
So what I'm going to go ahead and repeat my motion. My motion is to go ahead and move the consent agenda minus the item B1.
That's good.
second.
Are there any questions from the public? Consent agenda?
Why is the one being removed? We couldn't hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Item B1 is being removed because of a conflict of interest with one of our members. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion passes. We'll go to item B1. And so with Mr. Fletcher's absence now, what's the board's pleasure?
All right.
I'll make, can we at least hear from the applicant on the project?
You said you had a name.
I know I'm on the 678 Stewart Road, Yuba City, California. I'm one of the owners and manager of this project. Thank the board for having this hearing today. As you are aware, we believe that Stop Magnolia Ranch violated the election code. They failed to include a copy of the specific plan and the petitions they circulated to referendum the specific plan last year. And also, as you know, of course, Majority General Barrett didn't agree with that decision, and we filed our appeal, and we are here today because of that. By law, you're now faced with a choice. You may either rescind your approval of the specific plan, or you may place the matter on the ballot for the election each year. And we, the owners and proponents of this project, ask you to rescind the project. In the specific plan process, we devoted our attention to making the property worthy of your high standards. Even it's very high standards. We believe that the Magnolia Ranch Specific Plan embodies responsible development and adhering to the strictest building and development standards, and while serving as a catalyst for future economic growth. It was only after undergoing extensive public review and input that the project received unanimous support from the County Planning Commission, a majority of the Board of Supervisors, as well as nearly every local business and economic development organization. The project conformed to the 2030 General Plan, comprehensive blueprint for development adopted by the Board of Supervisors in 2011, which balances the need to manage and preserve natural resources with the desire to grow the economy here and provide new economic development opportunities. As a local farmer in the area, I personally had a vested interest in designing a project that not only embraced reasonable development practices, but also address the community's future housing and employment needs. We believe that the project's economic promise was considerable, given the inclusion of the business park and create over 3,400 jobs. It gave me great pride that the majority of the Board of Supervisors agreed with these goals. We had an enforceable development agreement. We had protected taxpayers. It ensured revenue from roads, parks, and public safety. The planning process was transparent and invited considerable public input over the many meetings we had over a 10-year period. As it should be in order to preserve the public's faith in their local, the input, as it should be in order to preserve the public's faith in their local elected officials. It's unfortunate, despite our efforts to communicate the benefits, several neighboring property owners feared that development would negatively impact the project. Most disappointing claim was that Magnolia Ranch could force Air Force Base to close, threatening our nation's national security. Such outlandish claims, among others, could not be corroborated by county planners, base commanders, and independent parties. Those policies didn't matter. It became evident that opponents intended to gain public support for a referendum by inciting fear at the expense of facts. And it worked. What's more important, opponents don't recognize that their campaign has implications that reach far and well beyond the fate of Magnolia Ranch. Community leaders and local employers, both here and regionally now, are concerned that the aggressive use of ballot box planning by political consultants will have negative implications for the economy for many years to come in this community. Rather than demonstrating the development project to consider on their merits, which is the way it used to be, resorting to election process hurts the image of Yuba County in the business community. And future development projects in Yuba County should be measured and determined by sound development practices as you embrace, and not by political consultants. This kind of uncertainty is not what invites investment, nor will it make Yuba County competitive in trying to retain jobs and attract new employers. And as I've told many of you, Yuba County has all the tools to do that, with water, power, and hopefully a wealth of open door policy for new business. It's for these reasons, and only after careful consideration, that our partnership has decided to abandon pursuit of Magnolia Ranch Specific project. This specific plan project. As local landowners and farmers, we have no interest in engaging in a protracted legal battle or a contentious campaign that would only undermine the long-term economic growth we've got. And that's already undermined, but we don't want to take it away. I'd like to extend a special thanks to the Board of Supervisors, the County Council, your Chief Administrator, our administrator through this process. Appreciate your leadership. And community development staff, Kevin and his team. We're working with our partnership to prepare a project that aims to improve the community's quality of life in many business, labor, community leaders that embrace Magnolia Ranch. Some of the biggest businesses in this whole region came forward to support this project. And small business leaders, all the economic development group, all the chamber group is on board. Every business group in this community supporting this. We can't thank them enough. Small business, large business, individuals, people supporting us. It took a lot of pressure, and they stood up, and we can never forget that. Again, the Board of Supervisors approved Magnolia Ranch project out of a desire to provide the community greater economic opportunity. It's for this very reason it must now rescind. And that's what we're asking to do, rescind. The county's ability to protect its business reputation is a greater concern to myself, my partners, and our future in this community for Yuba County here. So I want to thank you for this time. I want to thank you for the last 10 years. And thank you very much.
Mr. Wanda, before you leave, I have a question. In your statement, you talked about abandoning the project. Does that mean, when you say that you're abandoning the project for right now?
I'll just let it stand as I read it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Do you have any comments?
Mark Mueller.
Mark Mueller, Business Manager, Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, Local 228, Marysville. Pretty disappointed to be here right now. I represent 400 members, 50 of which live in Yuba County. I gotta tell you, I'm real proud to be on the side of a developer that can stand here with so much grace and poise, because I can tell you right now, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it. This man, the developers, this is a good project. And I want to tell you what's really sad is there's people in this room think this is a win. They think this is a win. We won. We beat Alabama. All you did is stop people from having jobs, development, just like you did the Enterprise Ranch Casino. If that would have been built, do you think Plumas Lake would be built out right now? Do you think 1,000 employees and people that patronize and work with that casino would have built homes in Plumas Lake? Do you think Yuba County would have made tens of millions of dollars in taxes had it been built? Do you think that this county would have some lower unemployment rates? Do you think your young people wouldn't be crackheads and pranksters? Not everybody can be a farmer. Not everybody can be a mechanic. Not everybody can be a construction worker. Not everybody can be rich. But you know what? It seems like everybody can be poor. If you walk around Walmart, if you walk around Yuba County, you can see a lot of poor, destitute people who need opportunity. And the people that believe they won, all they did is help continue Yuba County's low employment. All they did is help continue that some other child's not going to have an opportunity to go to a trade school and learn a craft. All they've done is make sure that any developers in the future would rather go to Sutter County, maybe go over to Sacramento, maybe go to somewhere else, but not in Yuba. And I got to tell you, it's very disappointing because my members worked hard because we believe in this. The development team, Almana, made a commitment to hire skilled union labor on his project. And not very many developers make those commitments. Where was all these people when the non-union developers out there at Plumas Lake were building all those homes with people from out of the area? Where were they all at? Where was the local community and outrage when the local training schools have no people in them to train because there's no opportunity around here? Where are they all at? Where's the outrage? And all the people that are hungry, that need a craft, that can't go to college. The reason why the government has turned schooling into a business is because everybody tells their kids to go to college. They've turned it into a business and they partake in it. There's trade school opportunities out there. Working with your hands is an honorable trade. It's good work. And these people that have killed this project, they've put, I know for a fact, 100 of my members out there. They can't argue with those numbers. Even if they had 3,500 jobs, they were out there telling people it would never happen. If it was 100 jobs, they've hurt this community for their own little piece of the world. Because they can't live together in harmony. And you guys did a great job. They didn't come up with one environmental concern. They didn't come up with one negative impact. They didn't go through anything that was tangible to tear down or to Instead, they used fear-mongering and rhetoric. And I gotta tell you, I'm proud of the supervisors that stood up. I'm disappointed in the ones that don't know how. I just hope that in the future, that you guys can continue to work together for the county. And I hope that the people in this county realize that they've been hurt more by not allowing this project to go forward than this Stop Magnolia group has helped it. And it might take a few years, but I can tell you right now, the group that was against the enterprise, I can look them in the eye right now and tell them that they hurt this county. Because the enterprise, had it been built back in 2007, 2005, 2008, would have been booming in the economy in this town, the houses that would have been built, because Thunder Valley is a template. Same casino, same design, same type, 20 minutes further down the road. We all know it would have been a huge success. And our supervisors back in the day, the ones that were on top of their game, the ones that were using their mind and using the tools with the team around them, made a decision to go forward with that project, and the community voted it down. Because sometimes the community doesn't know what's best for them. That's the truth. It's the truth.
Sir, if you-
That's why they take and they elect officials to make decisions for them. Like my members, they elected me to make decisions. I thought I had a minute left. Oh, I'm sorry. Have I been over 3 minutes? I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Robbie, thank you for allowing me to speak. You know, I'm going to be done here because I could go on for an hour. Anyway, for all of you that did approve the project, thank you. And I'm going to have to support the developer's request and the rescinding. Thank you.
Monty Hecker.
Are you guys aware of the box not opening up?
This isn't working?
No. There's nothing.
It's not.
No. That's why he didn't have so much money there. There you go. What's that?
Error on the clerk's part.
We'll be sure it's working for you.
It is working now. My name's Monty Hecker. I'm from 2984 Ostrom Road. I'm actually out there. I'm back here today asking for the same thing that I ask every time I've been before the board. And I want to thank you guys for hearing this. And yes, I think you're doing a good job, but you got to listen to the people. I'm here for one reason and one reason only. It's not to stop the project, and it's not to go forward with the project. It is to let the people vote. You've heard all the pros and cons with it. You've got Almont coming up here himself and speaking to it. Okay. He wouldn't talk back to Aubie and answer the question. Are they waiting 1 year so that they can bring it back out again? The people need to vote on this. Nobody was forced. I stood over at Walmart for the full 21 days with my union plumber guy. Every day we talked about it and that. He didn't support it, and I respect him for that. I don't feel we were stopping jobs. We have jobs out in Plymouth Lake, Edgewater, all those plumbers. I invite them to go out there and go to work. Every place that I've went that's currently building houses are non-union. Those people can be union and also work non-union jobs. I encourage them to go out there. My main point here is that you guys let the people vote. When I first came here on November the 19th, that's what my request was. And I personally asked John and Mary Jane and Andy to let the people vote, and that's what I'd like to see today, is that the people get a chance to vote. Thank you very much for your time.
Deb Hecker.
Good morning. My name's Deborah Hecker. I am involved with the Stop Magnolia Ranch project, but I'm not involved with it just because I live there. I'm involved with it because I think it'll repeal it. I was very disappointed when the letter from the base commander never made it into your minutes. It took 3 months for it to make it on the website for the public. We responded to a lot of people. Our fellow citizens, neighbors, wanted to vote. We didn't, those signatures are there because it's more than just the Stop Magnolia Ranch people who have asked for this vote. And rescinding it is a nice little way to get it off the election, but it's still not doing what the people have asked you to do. And it's not just the Stop Magnolia Ranch people. You had over 3,000 signatures. There could have been more. We stopped a week early. You have lots and lots of constituents out there wanting a chance to put this on the ballot to be heard. If you rescind it, it's going to be nothing more than a game. As Mr. Martin said, he's not giving the project up. It'll be right back here. And we'll have to start all over again. I'm asking you to please respect the petition process and let the people vote. Thank you.
Robin Burrow.
My name's Robin Burrow, and I am a farmer out in that area. We've gone through a long process here, and you, as supervisors, have felt that this is a worthwhile project that the community needs. And to rescind this right now means that maybe you aren't thinking all the way through of the way you may have thought before. The project right now is not what we're talking about. We are talking about the rights of the community to vote for this. No one knows how the vote is going to come out. Are the Stop people going to win, or is Magnolia going to win? No one can say until that vote comes to pass. We've gone through this whole process. The people want their right to vote and speak. The judge has spoken and said that it is the people's right to vote on this project, whether they want it or they don't. And to stop now and to turn around and start the process all over again, because we all know that's what's going to happen. It's not going to walk away. We're going to be wasting all of our time again to go through this whole process. And if the supervisors again decide that this is a good project that we need, we will all be back here again in this same position, whether it's a year from now or whenever. So I think it's time to let the people speak. You guys are voted on and appointed by the community and the people and represent them. Let's let the people speak and say what they think is needed in this community. I think it's important that we let it go to vote and find out what does the community really want. Thank you.
Sandy Gilbert.
Sandra Gilbert, 15 Pleasant Grove Road, Yuba. I want to first defend the people that have worked so hard to get this on the ballot. They're working people. They've spent a lot of their time that they could be doing other things. They've spent a whole lot of money. And I have to say that there have been many obstacles thrown up by some of the supervisors. And it appears that this might be another one coming up. I don't think it's fair to ask that of the people that have worked so hard and who supply so much to this county. We have farmers out there that have given many jobs, provide a lot of income from this, to this county, do a lot of good charitable work, and I have to say that the visibility has not been there for us. Things have been conducted behind closed doors, and I'm not very happy about it. I think that it's time to change, and I think that if you decide not to put this on the ballot, that it's another obstacle. Thank you.
Joanna Lasana.
Thank you for listening to all of us. I'm on Ostrom Road as well. The definition of shenanigans is trickery and misbehavior. That's what this whole rescinding is nothing but trickery, it's a shenanigan, it's misbehavior. It needs to go to the vote of the people. You guys were elected by the people, for the people, and they need to be able to voice their opinions. They need to be able to say what it is. So much up through the ranks of government, everybody's lost faith in that their voice even matters. While I'm out there collecting these signatures, people are like, it doesn't work anymore. The system doesn't work, it's broken. You guys need to prove to these people and give that faith back to the community that it does work. And that every process, as you go through it, every process that it works still. We need to instill that back into the people of this community. And they have spoken, and they have said that they want to hear, they haven't spoken necessarily that they want the project or not want the project. They have spoken that they want to vote. I've run across a couple of people that I know definitely that they are for this project. But they signed that petition and they said, we want to be heard. They also are angry that this is not going to be put on the ballot because they want to be heard. And even people that were for the project that said, I don't want to sign a petition because we think that that's the angle you're going at, they're angry because they're not going to be able to vote. You need to put it on the ballot and let the people of Yuba County speak. You guys are just like we are. You all got in that seat just like we, just like anybody in this audience. One day you were sitting in this audience. It doesn't make you guys any smarter, any better than anybody else in this community. You need to stop, quit playing the politics, and put this on the ballot and let the people speak. It's for the betterment of the community that they get their voice out there. And I think you guys would be more respected if they would let their voice be heard. Thank you.
Ernie Inez.
Venus, 3438 Bradshaw Road. Living out close to the project. Almont talks about a transparent project. What's really transparent here is that the residents of Yuba County have been opposed to the inclusion of Magnolia Ranch in the growth boundary from the get-go. While the supervisors were considering whether or not it should have been included in the growth boundary, the residents were already complaining that that was not an appropriate thing to do. And yet you voted in favor of it in 2011. So today I'm asking that we let the residents of Yuba County speak to the issue of whether Magnolia Ranch is good for the county or not. Thank you.
Kelly Lowry.
Hello, my name is Kelly Lowry, and I live and work in Yuba County. I am a supporter of the Magnolia Ranch project, and over the past year I have attended several meetings of the Board of Supervisors. I have observed the following. The Magnolia Ranch project was never challenged on the grounds that it did not comply with the general plan. Never challenged on the grounds that its environmental or traffic studies were based on flawed analysis or findings. Never challenged on the grounds the developer agreement did not bind the project to pay its fair share for roads, schools, or public safety. never challenged on the grounds that the project's economic assumptions were flawed, including the potential to create over 3,400 jobs. Yet despite the fact the landowners have complied with all of the rules and met all of the county's standards for responsible development, they are withdrawing from the project. This makes no sense to me. So here is my question. Given your experience, what will this landowner's experience do to our community, business reputation, and ability to attract future employers? And why would we vote on a project that the developer does not want to develop?
Ed Farewell.
Good morning. My name is Ed Farewell. I am the Group Manager for Ecology's Northern California region. I'm here at this time in support of the Magnolia Ranch project. It's my understanding that Yuba County's unemployment rate is considerably higher than the counties in the region. And for that reason, I think it's good to embrace, and we should embrace an opportunity to create jobs. And that's why we support the Magnolia Ranch project. The project will create many permanent jobs as well as construction jobs. It's a shame, and I know from experience, it's a shame when a project goes through an extensive and expensive process and meets all the requirements of the county, but yet never comes to fruition. If you were all to choose to rescind Magnolia Ranch Specific plan, I would support that. I believe investors should be encouraged to do business in Yuba County and feel welcomed. Thank you for this opportunity to allow my support for Magnolia Ranch.
Brenda Stranitz.
Good morning, Brenda Stranitz with the Yuba Center Economic Development Corporation. You all know where my board of directors stands on the project. We heard from both sides, both the opposition and the proponents of the project. They took a vote and voted to support Magnolia Ranch project. It upsets me that we're here today after 10 years, millions of dollars in investment, the promise for 3,400 jobs, and we have to ask you to rescind your vote on what was a good and fair and right project. That's where we stand today. Unfortunately, I'm asking you to rescind your vote from earlier. Thank you.
John Taylor.
Board of Supervisors. I live and work out of Yuba City right now, but back in 2004, I was very heavily involved in Plymouth Lake and sold houses out there in Plymouth Lake, organized all the builders of Plymouth Lake, and talked to the marketing program, and moved in. And subsequently, I was appointed to the Citizens Advisory Committee to the general plan. I spent 3 years on the advisory committee, studying what's best for the county. One of the main issues during that period of time was employment. How do we get employment in this county? You can't just get better in the community. And where do you put employment of any major size? The area that was designated for that ultimately was Employment Village, which is now the Employment Village for Yuba County. Of course, this land is part of that. This county needs to develop jobs. This isn't going to happen at Yuba County Airport. This is going to happen at Edgewater. It's going to happen in Marysville, Linda, Oliver's. It needs a specific area where it can happen. Also, during that period of time, I was asked to help privatize Park Wheeler Air Force Base as an employment center. And as a consultant, I working on doing that along the regional wastewater plant. And I contacted several people that wanted to be out there, which were people related to Wheeler Air Force Base, aerospace companies. They want to be out there. They weren't going to be anyplace else. They want to be associated next to Air Force Base where they have their contracts. There's a big demand for that. So I see further reason why this area, probably only area, really could develop that many jobs. So it's unfortunate right now that we have to talk about rescinding this county. I think it's going to send a terrible message to the world out there interested in Yuba County. This project can't get approved. Who else is going to go through 10 years of trying to be a developer in this county? Who's going to spend money and time and all the stuff, the resources you have to go through to submit a project to the county and have the citizenry override it? When I was on the General Planning Update Committee, there was no public outreach to stop this project. There was no public demand for it. I went to all the planning commission meetings, I went to board of supervisors meetings, this was discussed. There was no outreach to stop this project. I think there's a lot of revisionist history going on here in terms of opposition to this project. Where were those people back then? Anyway, I'm sorry this thing has to be stated by Almont to time to rescind it. It's to be a plan. I rethink what's going on. It just sends a terrible message to the world out there. Yuba County can't get its act together to grow the county. This area is going to change from agriculture to urban, whether people like it or not. Too close to employment centers of Sacramento County. Do not happen. It's going to happen somewhere. This is the most logical place for it to happen. Or it happens now or in the future. It may take 20 years for this kind of stuff. Rescind this project. But that seems to be the best solution right now.
I don't have any further comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? Given that, then I will go back to the board. Are there any comments?
Sure. You know, I remember this morning just sitting here and listening to folks that back when Dan Logue was county supervisor, he had made a kind of a campaign comment that there were proposed jobs coming to Linda, a big commercial interest. And opponents really just disagreed with that. How could there ever be fictitious jobs coming to Linda? That's just ridiculous. Who's ever going to want to come to Linda? And campaign pressure convinced him to say that they had a client that was Walmart. And the opponents knew well enough not to take Dan Lowe's word, and so they contacted the headquarters in Arkansas and did create confusion and questions, and it kind of alerted everybody that there is some controversy out there. Go find out what's going on. And what was interesting to me was that when Walmart came out here, and they started getting closer to working with Yuba County Community Development, they took what was a regular Walmart and made it into a super Walmart instead. And because of the pace in which Yuba County Community Development Office worked with that corporation, they actually slowed down the implementation of efforts in Sutter County and in Butte County and let the Yuba County Walmart go forward quickly. And so on all measures for Yuba County community development, it showed that we're business friendly. And it looked like we were open to bringing in these opportunities. So for all those that said it would never happen, it happened. And what's ironic about this is that that's actually the place that you guys were attracted to get the signatures. I mean, it's amazing to me to think that because we don't see today, that in 40 years from now, it's not going to be possible either. I'm concerned as a resident of many years in this community that we have accepted double-digit unemployment for way too long. It's a crisis. It needs to be dealt with. We have to imagine it. I hope that in the absence of this project, and for the time that you guys have generated great strength in communicating, that you're able to work on projects that actually do affect employment and make the community better. We're going to keep working on it. I'd love to see what's next, you know, in the event that we still need employment. We still need opportunity. There's still a great need for our citizens in this community.
To the chair. Through the chair. Chair. Land use is always the most difficult thing in regard to the role that we play as public servants. It's not always easy, and in fact, I'm going to quote a friend of mine that says, everybody wants progress, but nobody wants to change. And that's true. But you can't have one without the other. And that's really important to put out there first. Some of the rhetoric that I've heard out there in the community, I've seen on Facebook, has been pretty disturbing, in regards to, especially in regards to Beale Air Force Base. I've had a lot of communications with Beale, working through some of the infrastructure issues that they face right now. It was mentioned about the privatizing of the housing. Beale is in a different day. They're doing work differently than they have in the past. And so basically, is that they're looking for partners. They're looking for partners, and right now they're working with Oliver's Public Utility District in order to provide necessary infrastructure to that base that employs thousands of people out there. We've been in negotiations, and I'm surprised that the paper hasn't picked this up, because there's really a story there that's really important. In fact, I asked one of the majors, how do you feel when you go past those signs that says, "No on Magnolia, protect Beale"? And he simply said they just don't understand the project. So the other thing I want to convey to you is that through the BRAC process, California took a huge hit on base closures, but there was a couple of states that didn't. Texas and Florida did not take huge hits on their military bases. And the reason why is because the state invested in their infrastructure, into the military installations infrastructure. California did not step up. They did not do that. But Yuba County is. Yuba County is stepping up to play a role to make sure that we reduce the overhead for Beale Air Force Base. That's a strong consideration for the criteria that they look at when they go through the BRAC process, is to reduce the amount of overhead through electricity and water and wastewater. Because the reason why? Because they want to reduce the amount that they spend on their military installations so they can spend the money on their troops and their weapons. That is a big mission for the military. And that's what this board and OPUD have been working on. But nobody's catching that story. And it's one that you can see for yourself. The facts are out there if you simply look. But there's only one side to this story that's been told to the community. And I have communications with hundreds of people throughout the week at our local restaurant. And when they hear this story, they said the truth has got to get out because only one side's being told, and it's not the truth. I know that you don't want to hear that because that's not going along with your plan. We talk about politics. I think you played some of the best politics out there. But it's not the truth. And the truth really needs to come out about what the mission is here in regards to supplying infrastructure. I spent the day yesterday at Lyndhurst High School. You know what they were most excited about? Is jobs. I always ask the question, how many of you have jobs by show of hands? Few. How many of you want jobs? But everybody raised their hands. It's disappointing to hear that this project is being withdrawn because the opportunities for our young people to be able to work in their own community, that was just yanked away from them. Also, I'm going to bring in another partner to Magnolia because, not to Magnolia, but to the base, is Enterprise Rancheria. A lot of you have all opposed that project. Not all of you, but many of you have opposed that project. They've been in the process for 13 years, battling one court trial after another. Finally, the federal judge says, hey, state of California. You're going to enter into a compact with them, and if you don't, we'll leave you out of the funding mechanism. There's a lot of jobs there. And through the general process, we designed an area that was going to be for the industrial area, because the current industrial area of the county at the airport is almost done. We had to look to the future, to look for more land that looked reasonable next to rail, next to the highways. It made it more reasonable for manufacturing and industrial uses to be located there. I've heard it said by the people on Magnolia that it would interfere with their quality of life and their businesses. But if you look around Edgewater and you look around Plumas Lake, what surrounds all of that? Agriculture surrounds all of it. And they've been working that out really well. So I don't understand why that's such a big issue. I don't understand why the No on Magnolia is not willing to enter into a discussion with the developer to try to work out your differences. It's because you dug your heels in, and that's it. To the point where the developer just throws his hands up after 10 years and millions of dollars of his money that was being invested in this county, and said, I've had enough. And when he talks about that message doesn't stay just in Yuba County. The community of builders, whether they be residential, industrial, or commercial, that community is very, very small, and they all talk to each other. The red line will stop where the boundary of Yuba County begins in regards to investment, because who's going to make that kind of investment in this community? You might have won this battle, but you certainly have not won the war in regards to creating jobs and investment in this community. You're business people? Yeah, many of you are business people. I'm really surprised to see that kind of reaction.
Get my mic to work here. You're talking about the voice of the people. Yuba County's got 70,000 people in it. My district has approximately 15,000. When I was originally appointed and elected twice, I always said the jobs will solve 90% of all the problems of Yuba County. When the general plan was put up, I was the one who voted against it because I thought their figures were inflated. But that's the cards I was dealt, that general plan. There was an event that happened starting in 2004 that most people say happened in 2008. There was a recession, there was the bubble, the real estate bubble. I turned a $300,000 house into a $100,000 house. Plumas Lake, when I was originally elected, I asked, is there any way we can channel that development? No. I was told no because all those developers in Plumas Lake paid their money, given their permits, and they would work according to what they thought was right. And this project came up of Magnolia Ranch. It's just one of those steps to provide jobs for Yuba County in a positive direction for Yuba County. It's compared to Plumas Lake. Plumas Lake has many developers, and a lot of them went under, a lot of them are coming back now. Edgewater, where I live, is going to be built out in the next 2 to 5 years. You've got construction going on now. I looked at Beale and I said, how far is Beale from Magnolia Ranch? Well, the end of the runway is 3 miles from the nearest corner in Magnolia Ranch. We're bringing air refuelers back to Beale, and they said, hey, they're loud, they're noisy. Well, I rode on one of those things back in '86, and yes, they are, they're real noisy. But they've since gotten quieter engine, so it's not the same problem. I've been out to Beale, I've talked to Beale, many people out there, and they stay neutral because they have to. They can't be for or against anything. But most of all, I have to answer the people of Linda. And I'd like to think I talk to more people in Linda than most. And we had a situation similar to this where people that didn't want a liquor store because they had too many liquor stores, so they said, hey, we want to vote on it. Well, we decided that we would let the investors, let the business, let the market decide. And that's what we were doing here, was letting the market decide whether Magnolia Ranch went forward or not. For some reason, people seem to think that this is going to happen overnight. It's 7 to 10 years away from even getting started and getting its wings. And as far as the jobs guaranteed, they make the best estimate they can. And the difference between Magnolia and Plumas Lake is there's only one group that has guessed that they would get 3,400 jobs. Well, if they could get 1,000 jobs, if they could get 400 jobs, would be ahead of the game. Here's a man who's owned property, invested his money, and this is America. You should be able to do those things. The people of Linda have said to me that I've talked to, anything has to be better than status quo. Anything. Jobs are needed, and we've got to start somewhere, and this was a start. So, we have to remember this is America. If you own your land, if you're willing to invest your money, and you're willing to take your chances with the market, there should be nothing holding you back. So, I'll answer the people of Linda for this, but they want this project to go forward. So, with that, I'll leave it to the chair.
The comments I would have, I look at this differently than the situation with Walmart, in that with Walmart, here's an actual job created, as opposed to the project itself promises the possibility and the potential for jobs with totally unknown, at this point, possible job creators. Well, at that, and then I look at this as similar to, when the board approved Yuba Highlands. And what I find common with both projects is that the board felt it was beneficial to the county, but the general public did not. And I would tell you that also that I think the Walmart project is a very good example of the open door policy that Yuba County has for actual job creators. What Yuba County did with Namas, what they did with Shoei Foods after both of them suffered devastating accidents that destroyed big parts of their plant. I think those things are better examples of what kind of policy and economic development support the county has than what is happening with Magnolia Ranch. I think that the 3,400 job promise and the economic benefit from the project are both, just potential. The 3,400 jobs come from the county requirement that you have to provide for the potential for a job for each dwelling unit that you have in your project. It isn't that I think since I'm going to build 500 houses, I have to provide the potential for 500 jobs. You know, there was a mention of the BRAC thing, and that it's really important. And I would agree that if the base can save money by having someone else, an outside agency, provide their sewer, wastewater services, that will be of real benefit, and I would imagine is an important factor in any future BRAC decision. But I would also think that the possible encroachment that Magnolia Ranch, what it provides and how it impacts the base is also a factor that they will look at. And one of the problems I have with the whole BRAC process is, while we in Yuba County can talk about supporting the base and how strongly we support it, how important it is to us, ultimately we have little, if any, influence, sway over what the Department of Defense does and which base they decide to close. The reason why I asked Mr. Mata, you know, his decision to withdraw the project, is that just for now or is that permanently or whatever, is I don't believe those considerations will go away in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. And I would hope that whenever, if it ever comes back to the board, that the board will then consider those aspects as well. And I would agree that at this point, with everything that has happened, that apparently it is really important, I think, for the board to understand and to see where the public is on this project. And really, the only way you can do that is to have the vote go forward. Mr. Mata would have a choice of campaigning against the vote or doing nothing or whatever he's going to do should that happen. And so today I would just urge the board to certify the petition and consolidate the election and go forward.
To the chair, a couple of things you mentioned, 3,400 jobs, Yuba Highlands. Yuba Highlands cost us unintended consequences of millions of dollars with the Gold Village. 3,400 jobs is an estimate. It's not a guarantee. For those of you who are looking for guarantees, government is not the solution, it's the problem. Jobs are not created by government. If you wait till all the lights turn green to come out of the garage, we're going to be where we are right now. And it's just, our county is stagnated with these hurdles that we put in front of developers. I think he's the last standing developer looking to invest in Yuba County at this point in time. And I think that it's not people, the people of Linda have said, Bill, do something, try and create jobs.
Through the chair, I don't want to debate the issue, but I do want to at least expand on the BRAC issue. I think in regards to certainty, in regards to Beale Air Force Base's future, I think that, as I stated before, that Texas and Florida set a very good example of how to keep your bases off the correct list. I think it must hold a lot of, weight in regards to when you can reduce the overhead. And I think we all remember being at the invitation of Beale Air Force Base liaison when they entertained the Undersecretary of the Air Force as well as Mr. Valentine. We're here to look at the infrastructure specifically. I think that wasn't just a coincidence. I think that was on purpose. They wanted to know, how do we reduce the cost of Beale Air Force Base when it comes to infrastructure? And again, I will state, part of that is because they want to reduce the funding. I've heard it out in the community is that, oh, the military's got lots of money. Well, if they do, then why do they have a system that's 76 years old? There's been a lot of time in that process of a wastewater treatment that they could have rebuilt a brand new one, but they never did. And basically, they don't want to be in the business any longer. And that's why they're looking at a small utility district, Oliver's Public Utility District, that oversized their capacity for expansion of what they thought was going to be future homes. Now, when you have that oversized capacity, it doesn't mean that you're more efficient. And that the dialogue that they've been having with the board of directors, which shows a huge support, a unanimous support by their board of directors, is to enter into an agreement. And then I also mentioned the partnerships between Magnolia and Enterprise Rancheria, because if there's any grant funding, there's going to be a cost that's going to have to come bear by the public. And so Magnolia and Enterprise will, hopefully in the future, memorialize those partnerships that they would pay a percentage that any grant money that we receive to move that wastewater line from OPA to Beale Air Force Base. Now, this is a huge cost. I don't see any landowners over here stepping up to say that they pay for that. In fact, I know that through the EDC, they have showed property out there in the vicinity for interested development and industry. When they found out there was no wastewater or water infrastructure there, they turned their backs and walked out. This is such an important piece, not just for the base, but for development and our future in Yuba County. If we're not willing to invest in those types of, underground projects like water and wastewater, then we will have the status quo that we are all complaining about every single day. So it's in regards to our future, and it's in regards to Beale Air Force Base.
The BRAC is an important measure. We participate because we care very much about a BRAC system, and we are very active in supporting Beale Air Force Base during those periods especially. We have an effort we went through, and a study we went through that included SACOG and the regional governmental support mechanisms, the joint land use study that focuses on aircraft noise, sound. We put a barrier that extended beyond Beale Air Force Base. They do their own study. They're not going to wait for us. They're going to use their own material. When they did their version, which is known as ACUS, their sound and noise barriers, as it pertains to the BRAC for Beale as a base realignment and closure list, considers all future potential aircraft and all future potential land development. Their ACUS study was much smaller than Yuba County's in that it just ran the fence line of Beale. I guess it's important. It doesn't seem like it makes sense to repeat over and over and over what those issues are, because it's the material that the base uses, but it never seems to sink in. One of the other pieces about the prospect of Walmart coming is most of what I was referring to before you saw a building there, nobody saw a possibility of it coming. But in that process, they also paid for a street light at Ramirez and 10th Street in Marysville. And with that, we now have relief where traffic moves expeditiously through the community. One thing I'd really look to as future, there will be no traffic enhancement or adjustments on Southville Road or Ostrom Road. That Beal is in a major growth mode, and it will be adding new missions rapidly over the next few years. We're doubling the 548, that's adding 1,000 employees. There's an additional surveillance system that has been approved. It's super top secret, but it adds a couple hundred more. And then additionally, you have another aircraft frame that is negotiating in the process now to be brought in, which brings in all those service elements. There are no houses left in Beal. Everybody will have to be commuting into the facility. So the impact on the traffic count is about to change, and it's going to change for the busier. So without any adjustments, without any future planning, those impacts remain. And through development, roads get considered, infrastructure gets considered. The only consideration that we've recently made that's going to cause an impact is we laid off 4 public works employees. There are no local works projects that will happen for local roads. The only thing we're working on is federal projects. So there becomes a big conundrum in finding a way to move forward with the existing needs for existing clients. Also, you know, many folks spoke to the discussion of whether we should take this to a vote of the people or not. And as far as I can see, this is clear. This entire Stop Magnolia effort has been based on this specific plan. So, number one, the applicant for the specific plan has abandoned it. It seems to me illogical and disrespectful to ask people to vote on something that doesn't exist. But the other issue is what was not addressed was the land use itself. It doesn't change the fact that the land use is in place. So would Algonquin come back? Would anybody he sold his land to come back? Isn't it possible? I mean, even if you voted, it would not change the land use designation. And so it just seems, you know, really misaligned to continue with something that, whether it's done here now or done with the voters, we're talking about the referendum against the piece, the resolution that was 2015 and what was it? That's what we're talking about. That's it. And the end result is the same. It really is. And nothing stops in the future people from doing what they want to do with private land. Right? Right, Mrs. Gilbert? You have 15,000 homes you're trying to build in Wheatland?
What about the effects of it taking away all of the prosperity and the people that have worked so hard out there already? What about that? That's the main problem. And you're here selling this project
Again,
when we've already asked for the vote of the people and have won it, and you're still here promoting it. What more can I say?
I'm not promoting it. I'm saying the land use is the same. Just like 15,000 homes in Wheatland at your farm, you know, we're going to kick out walnut trees and put in homes eventually, or university, or hospital, whatever it is that they're going to build on that piece. I think we could bring it back to the board, Chairman, and I'll just make a motion to move forward. So I would like to make a motion in pursuit of Elections Codes 9144 that the board, in reconsideration of resolution number 2015-126, rescind the approvals named in the referendum against resolution number 2015-126.
Second.
Mary Jane, you said you didn't want to debate the whole GRAC process. You talked extensively after that about why we, different bases and how important infrastructure is. And I would agree with that. But I would also ask you then to consider, both Mather and McClellan and Sacramento. And look at the infrastructure that was available locally next to them. And both of them are now closed. And I think more importantly than that is the fact that the encroachment to those two bases was so bad that I don't know that they had a whole lot of choice with that, but I certainly would not want to see something like that get started and you end up going down the road of the base being like that and then ultimately being closed because of all the encroachments.
I'm sorry.
To the chair, we have a
I just said that I think our general plan addresses encroachment on the base, so I don't think there's a fear that there's going to be all of this development. Yeah, it does that.
Oh, it does, very bad.
To the chair, I'd like to call the question.
Well, before we do that, I also want to, you brought up the fact that, the developer request to abandon the project and rescind the vote and everything means that the employment village and the possibility of some type of specific plan remains. And with that, possibly what the board needs to do then is to review that employment village and maybe go back to what the community development originally proposed for a community village or an employment village. So that if you don't have possibility of a specific plan for residential development out there, maybe then you end up with just a employment village that, that parallels the railroad tracks. And it's a much smaller area than is currently designated.
I'm definitely going to continue working best I can to bring prosperity there.
Again, we have a motion.
Roll call vote, but doesn't matter.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Nicoletti,
Yes.
Supervisor Grego,
Yes.
Supervisor Avi.
No. All right, so the motion passes 3-1.